Hello and welcome to the presentation of the paper Bipartite Graph Diffusion Model for Human Interaction Generation. I am Baptiste Chopin and this work was done in collaboration with Tang and Mohamed Daoudi. We define the problem of interaction generation as generating the motion of two persons in an interaction based on a class label. For example, with the label cheers and drink, we want to be able to generate two persons cheering and drinking. The challenge we have to solve for this is to be able to generate high quality motion with a high diversity. High diversity meaning that for a single label we must be able to generate several different motion. We decided to use diffusion to do interaction generation because diffusion model has shown an impressive performance on various generative tasks with high quality and high diversity. For example, for image generation, point cloud generation in 3D, or closer to what we are doing, motion generation based on text for a single person. Diffusion contains two processes. The first one, forward diffusion, is where we gradually add noise to real data. So starting from a real motion sequence, we'll add noise little by little until we obtain a normal distribution. The second process is the reverse diffusion, where we train a network to gradually remove the noise. So starting from a normal diffusion, a trainable network with, as a condition, the class label in our case, will remove the noise little by little until we obtain something close to real motion. For this, we use our Bipartite graph interaction transformers. A problem that we need to solve is how to encode the interactive part of the motion. Unlike single-person generative method, we need to generate good motion for two persons and have these two motion be coherent for the interactive part. For example, if you have two persons shaking hand, then the timing for the handshake must be the same for both, and the hand must connect during the handshake. For this, we decide to use bipartite graph, which are graphs where vertices can be split into two independent sets. In our case, the two skeletons, red and blue. Then the bipartite graph will connect these two sets, so connect the two skeletons. This CN have already been used to learn bipartite graph, for example, in the use case of post-transfers, and we will use it to encode the information about the interaction. The bipartite graph interaction transformers takes two inputs. First, the class label that goes through a text encoder, and the interaction motion noise at step T from the forward diffusion process. The interaction motion is split in two, one part for corresponding to each skeleton. And each of these parts will go through a similar process with an embedding, positional embedding, self-attention, cross-attention with the output of the text encoder. This corresponds more or less to a transformer layer. Then, however, after the cross-attention, the output will go through the bipartite graph network that will learn the interactive part of the motion. After which we go through a feed-forward and linear layer to obtain epsilon theta, which is the variable we want to optimize with the diffusion loss. For our experiment, we use four metrics: the Fresher video distance, the multimodality score, which is an intra-class diversity score, a classification score from a transformer classifier, and an user study score. We also use two databases, the NTU RGB plus D 120 with 26 simple interaction classes captured with Kinect, and Duet Dance, where we have 5 classes of dancing motion with 2 persons extracted from RGB video. We compare our method to two baselines: Actor, which is a transformer VAE for class to motion, single person, and Motion Diffuse, a diffusion transformer for text to motion, single person also. The quantitative results on the NTU dataset show that our method outperforms the state-of-the-art, be it in Fresher video distance, multimodality, or accuracy. We can see that in terms of classification accuracy, we are even very close to that of the ground truth. On duet dance, we observe similar results, with our method outperforming the two others in FVD, multimodality, and classification accuracy. But we can notice that the classification accuracy is much lower than for NTU, and that is also the class for the ground truth. It's because the motion from duet dance are extremely complex and would be difficult to classify even for non-expert human. Finally, we see the user study that was done with 30 participants. We asked them two questions. First, which skeleton sequence is more realistic? And two, which skeleton sequence matches the input text better? We see that overall, users prefer our approach to the two other, but still think that the ground truth is more realistic than what we generate. Now for some qualitative results, we see an example for the cheers and drink motion from NTU. We see that our method is able to generate a better motion than actor, which show low intensity, and motion diffuse, which contain noise. On duet dance, we also perform better than the two other methods for the salsa class. We see that actor is unable to generate the motion. We think it's because the motion from each class from the duet dance dataset resemble each other a lot. And motion diffuse again contain more noise than what we generate, while our motion is also relatively close to what is in the ground truth. We see here the ability of our model to generate high diversity sample. The example is from the NTU Things class, where we give one label to the network and generate several samples. And we see that they are very different from each other. That show the ability of our network to generate high diversity. Our method is also able to generate very long sequence. An example here from the Rumba class of the duet dance dataset, where we are able to generate nearly 3 minutes of motion. However, the limitation for very long sequence generation is the data. Due to the limited number of long sequences in the duet dance dataset, we will see here that the longer the generation goes, the more noisy it becomes, and as we can see here, there is more noise than in the beginning of the sequence. Thank you for watching this video. The code and the pre-trained model, as well as more qualitative results, are available on the GitHub of the project.